Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is Trent. This is Rams Talk, and boy, do we have a good show for you today. I'm excited. I got so much emotion about this game. I got Mariah Carey style emotion here, and I mean, why would I? It's Lions. How do you get that much emotion for the Lions? Well, it's Jared Goff. It's just a lot of things. A lot, like the last 4 or 5 years of my Rams life has been Jared Goff, and the end of last year with Wolford and Goff. It's just a lot of emotion. It's all coming back. I didn't even know it was there. It's all coming back. But anyways, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. If you're a Detroit Lions fan, you want to jump on board the Rams wagon, please do. There's plenty of room here for you. We're very welcoming. But yeah, this is an exciting game that normally would not be an exciting game. Like, I really wasn't too jazzed about last week's Giants game. That was kind of hard to get up for. But anyways, I'm going to get to a lot of things. I got a lot of stuff, so bear with me. This might be a longer show than normal, but a few news and notes first. So this is a Thursday, and I'm not quite sure what the injury report is looking like today. So, but as you know, Johnny Munt and Jake Funk out for the season. That's a bummer. So I don't know in terms of, we just signed Buddy Howell, who was undrafted free agent rookie out of, Central Florida or something like that. Played with the Dolphins, played with the Texans. Now he's with us. We've really had bad injury luck with the running back, starting with Cam Akers, then Xavier Jones, then Raymond Calais, now Jake Funk. So there's 4 guys going down. That's a lot, actually, especially with our top guys. You think the Ravens have had tough luck. Darrell Henderson is our healthy guy, he and Sony. Sony's banged up. So I don't know. He didn't practice yesterday, Wednesday. Who knows how he's trending. Hopefully he's got a shoulder issue. Hopefully he's suited up, because I think the running backs are going to get a lot of action in this game. And then who's going to be tight end number 2? Is that going to be Kendall Blanton? This is primarily a blocking position for the Rams. So is it going to be him? Is it going to be Bryson Hopkins? So that's going to be something to monitor. But sucks for those guys. Sorry to hear that. Dante Dan has been elevated to the regular team. I guess they purchased his contract, just a formality. And like I said, Sony Michel did not practice yesterday. Taylor Rapp, congratulations to former second-round pick Taylor Rapp for being named the NFC Defensive Player of the Week. That's pretty awesome. He was in the doghouse with so many fans this season, and wow, he's having a good game, or he had a great game last week, and I'm really happy for that, and I hope that's just the beginning of some good things to come. Now, the Rams lead the all-time series against the Detroit Lions 44, 41, and 1. I think it's going to be 45, 41, and 1 after this game. And they're a whopping, I didn't even know this, I just checked it, they're a whopping 15.5 point favorite in this game. Like, in the NFL, you never see spreads like that. That's insane. That's more than 2 touchdowns. The Rams are more than 2 touchdown favorite against the Detroit Lions. That just goes to show the chasm between these two teams, where they're at, the talent, the rosters, everything. And and I just want to say this to Detroit Lion fans, and I feel your pain, and you might not think that I do. You might not think that Rams fans feel your pain, because we went to a Super Bowl recently, Sean McVay, so if I stay in all this, Aaron Donald, all this good stuff, right? But it wasn't always like that. I've been a Rams fan since the 80s, since I was a kid, and the Rams averaged 5 wins a season between 1990 and 1998. They were the second most losing team in the 90s behind the Bengals until 99, 2000, Greater Show on Turf came out of nowhere. Then they were good for about 5 seasons, and then they went back into the cellar from between 2004 and 2016. They also averaged just 5 wins per season, and so basically 20 seasons there, they averaged 5 wins per season. In fact, in the 2000s, they are, I think, the 20th best team, and the Lions are the 31st. So, I get, okay, you guys have been worse, but we've been there. We've had number 1 picks, lots of number 2 picks. So we feel your pain. None of this is we're not happy about this. And I know you're in good hands with Brad Holmes and Aubrey Pleasant. I think The franchise is going to be turning around a corner. But if you want a team to root for and pull for, you have Matt Stafford. I know a lot of Lions fans kind of stick with Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford. But come join the Rams, the Rams family here. There's open arms. And I think it'll be exciting for you to root for Matthew Stafford. I mean, because this is just a throwaway season. Watching the Lions play, watching Jared Goff play is not inspiring at all. So we're here for you, except for this Sunday, naturally. So also Michael Brockers on the Lions. Michael Brockers is a class act. Really, really appreciate Michael Brockers for everything he did as a Ram. Kind of sucks that he's in football purgatory in Detroit. And then obviously Jared Goff. So now I'm going to start this whole kind of preamble here is going to be about Jared Goff. And there was a movie in the 90s, I doubt most of you have caught it, called Sliding Doors with Gwyneth Paltrow. And it's basically she rushes down into a subway and her life like splits. Basically, there's the life of her that gets on the subway train before the doors slide closed. And then there's the life, like it forks. And then there's her life that goes on where she doesn't make the train. And it's like where she doesn't make the train, she stays in a relationship that's not good, where her boyfriend's like cheating on her. And the one where she makes the train, she breaks up, she's more independent. And it's these two lives, totally different. Like kind of what if I caught that train, right? And I look at this as what if the Rams didn't trade for Matthew Stafford? What if Jared Goff was still on the roster? And we go into camp with the battle between him and John Wolford, okay? Because if you remember at the end of last year, there was almost a Rams fan civil war between Jared Goff and John Wolford. Like the house was divided, and it was crazy. Can you imagine if we continued down that path? Because until no one thought Matthew Stafford would be a Ram right after the Rams lost to Green Bay in the playoffs. So the fact that that happened completely took that whole topic off the table. But had that not happened, had they not, gotten Aaron Rodgers or any other quarterback or drafted anyone and just rolled in with Jared Goff and John Wolford might be starting right now. There would have been all this drama. It would have been all we would have talked about. That would have been like, had we not gotten on the train. Had Gwyneth Paltrow not gotten on a train, we would have been stuck in this relationship, and it would have been John Wolford. I like John Wolford, but John Wolford would not. I don't think he would have led us to a Super Bowl, right? And I feel pretty good in saying that. Like he could be an upgrade over Jared Goff, but like not Super Bowl caliber kind of guy. So also injury prone, right? So he likes to run and he got hit pretty good. So I'm just so happy. I am so relieved more than anything that they traded for Matthew Stafford. Not just because it's Matthew Stafford and he's awesome, but just because we don't have to deal with the Jared Goff, John Wolford drama at all. Like that's just a non-starter. So, what would have been kind of interesting to think about, like where we would have been right now. If Jared Goff / John Wolford was our starting quarterback this year, how many wins? What would our record be right now? Would we be 3-3? I think it's fair to say, right? So, but we got Matthew Stafford, and I'll tell you this: I am so thankful that we have an awesome ownership group, front office, just complete organizational structure, amazingness, up and down. Because life favors the bold, fortune favors the bold, and that's what the Rams are. They're not sitting here with sunken costs and just saying, well, we paid all this money for a quarterback, we just got to ride it out. That's not how they're thinking. They're like, okay, we're paying Jared Goff the Rams are paying Jared Goff $24 million this year to not play for the Rams. He's getting paid by the Rams to play against the Rams. We're paying him this Sunday. I know he's also it's the dead money, right? We're not actually paying his salary this year, paying dead money. But like the Rams are paying for Jared Goff to not be on their team. And it's not like, hey, we're paying $6 million, $24 million. It's crazy. Maybe it might be more than that. So we could be an organization that just kind of like, treads, goes, just does the same thing all the time, just kind of going with it and just losing a season, losing another season. Okay, the salary's off the books. We can move on. Who's available, and that window closes. No, the window's wide open. It's more open than it's ever been because the Rams made a move. We'll figure it out. We're a good organization. We have smart people. We will figure it out. And that's essentially what they did. They just said, we can't go any further the way it is. Got to get out. So I'm stoked about that. That makes me feel good that we have an owner. I mean, look at Detroit. Look at how much of a mess that organization is when you have Hall of Famers retiring early in their primes. That's not the Rams. Right? So I think it's just be thankful. Let's all be thankful for Stan Kroenke. I mean, unless you're a St. Louis person, you probably hate him, but Les Snead and just the entire organization and the thought process that goes into this and the aggressiveness. So now staying on Jared Goff real quick. I think that when I think of Jared Goff, I think, number one, I feel bad in the sense that he's a good guy. He's a good kid, and I respect him. What he did for the organization. I mean, those 4 years, not counting his first year with Jeff Fisher, but those 4 years, 17, 18, 19, 20. I mean, those were some of the best years of football in my life. There was the Greatest Show on Turf. There were the Jim Everett years, and then they're like basically 3 phases, and he was an integral part of that. And what he meant for the city of LA, and he's, one of the better Rams quarterbacks of all time. Like, seriously. And I appreciate that. And I hope he's treated with a warm welcome at SoFi, okay? Because he deserves that. He deserves to be appreciated for what he did. Now, I think when I look at him, in even games this year, is what went wrong. And to me, it's all up here. It was his confidence. Because you go to 2017 and 2018, and even 2019, when he was gunslinging, he was going for it. His arm talent was never in question. And he was taking chances. He was being aggressive. But what happened? He stopped. He stopped throwing the ball down the field. It just seemed like his confidence was gone. His processing, his decision making, the turnovers, like he played scared. He was very timid, no ball security. I mean, it just kind of like night and day. Because, I mean, you look at the Vikings game, you look at the Saints playoff game, you look at a bunch of games, and you're like, where is that guy? So I think it's pretty much a confidence thing for him, and which is weird. And he's just turned into a check down Charlie. I watched the game against the Bengals, and it was the same thing he did last year for the Rams, where you have these different receivers going out and basically running a high-low and even check down, right? And he's always going with the check down. He's always going with the low-low. He's not even going with the intermediate, and they're open. They're open. He's rolling out to the same side, and there's a guy open 10 yards down the field, and he throws it to the guy that's open 3 yards down the field. It's like he locks in, and he can't get out of it. And it's the same thing. He's doing the same thing. It's not that, people wanted to say last year the Rams didn't have a speedster. They didn't have, that guy to take it off take the top off the defense. But that wasn't the case. He wasn't throwing to guys that were open that we would see later on film that were open 10, 15 yards down the field. And it was the same thing that happened in this past game. There was a 4th down, and DeAndre Swift was open. There was another guy that was open. They're both open, kind of just going out the same way. He rolled out the wrong way, didn't see him, and just threw it out of bounds on a 4th down. And it's just like, and that just was PTSD for me, because that's what he did last year. So there's just something with the processing, the confidence, and also the turnovers. He has 7 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and 4 fumbles. He has 7 touchdowns and 8 turnovers this year. And that's been the story of his career. The last 3 seasons are the turnovers. And for me, if nothing else, that's the reason why you move on from Jared Goff, because the ball security is not there. And, he had last year in 2020, he threw 20 touchdowns. Matthew Stafford, through 6 games this year, has 16 touchdowns. He's on pace for 45 touchdowns. Wouldn't you say that that's worth everything the Rams did? That just puts it into, that's a quantifiable thing. more than twice as many touchdowns. That's what Matthew Stafford's on pace for. So I think that was probably one of the best trades ever in the history of the Rams. I'm trying to think of others. But anyways, now how does Jared Goff respond? So after last week's loss, Dan Campbell, the coach of the Lions, came out and basically said, he's got to wake up. He's got to help us. He's got to do something. He's got to make those easy reads, at least make those easy reads. So how does he respond? Last year he responded quite well against the Seahawks in the playoffs when, Wolford got that start at the end of the season against Arizona. Then he started the game against the Seahawks, and then Goff came in, and you could tell Goff had a chip on his shoulder. He was fired up. He was fired up, because the Seahawks were talking trash, but also because, he felt like he was in the doghouse on his own team. So how does he respond in this game? Aside from the fact that he's playing the Rams, but just how does he respond as a football player to, not playing good football lately? So that'll be really interesting. I mean, I don't really see it moving the needle too much because I don't see him being too aggressive unless he just completely goes opposite of his entire football personality over the last 3 years. So now let's talk about Detroit. What are they bringing in this game? So they've never led at all this season, not once. That's ouch. That's big ouch. I mean, two of their losses came by 2 points against Vikings last week, or 2 weeks ago, which was a heartbreaker. I mean, they very well should have won that game, and then against the Ravens, they lost by 2 points. And their defense held the Ravens to 19. Their defense held the Vikings to 18, I think, or so, something like that. So the defense has showed up at times this year. But it's their offense scoring points that really is the tough thing. And also, with rebuilding teams, with new coaches, lack of talent, trust me, we know this as Ram fans from the Jeff Fisher times and even before then, self-inflicted wounds. They have 16 pre-snap penalties, 8 of them being false starts, primarily in key moments. I mean, we know all about that. Penei Sewell has played well, but he needs to settle down within a game. At the beginning, he's like kind of too hyped up. But 8 turnovers. I mean, this is, as a Rams fan, this is stuff from the Jeff Fisher days that comes back as the self-inflicted wound, especially the Greg Robinson at left tackle. And just every time the Rams would do something good, they did something bad. And it really offset all the progress. And because for the Lions, they can't afford to beat themselves with the talent they have. I mean, every game it's a slim margin, and so they need to clean it up. But it's hard when you're a team that has a dearth of talent and has new coaching, and it's just a tough deal. But anyways, that's kind of where they've been. Now, they've also been bit by the injury bug, so their offensive line, which was a strength coming into the season. 2 keys on that offensive line, Frank Ragnow and Taylor Decker, are both out for this game. I mean, Ragnow, I think, might be out for the season. Taylor Decker could be out for the whole season. Not quite sure yet. He hasn't played. Jeffrey Okudah is out. Tyrone Williams has been out and is still out. And Quentin Cephas, I think that's how you say his name, he's also out. So, I mean, those are all kind of main guys for them. And Hawkinson is a DNP. In his first 2 games of the year, he played really well, but he's been banged up since then. And I mean, last week he led them in receiving. I mean, obviously it's going to be a tight end, it's going to be running backs, but he led them in receiving last week. But he's still dinged up and he didn't practice yesterday. I don't know about today, but I'm sure he's in line to play this weekend. If he doesn't, then it's tough because this is who they have at their receiving core. They have Amon-Ra St. Brown out of USC, 4th round pick. They have Kaderil Hodge, ex-Ram. We all know Kaderil Hodge, part-time model actually, and Khalif Raymond. So they have those 3 guys. Then they have Hawkinson. Then they have their 2 running backs, DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams. Now, both of those guys are pretty good. Hawkinson's pretty good. Amon St. Ra, promising rookie, right? Now, if they want to really be effective, and this is some statistics I've seen, is that when you play Williams and Swift at the same time, it really kind of opens up their defense. I mean, you get your best players on the field, but when they're both on the field, and they've only been on the field for 21 snaps together. The Lions average 6.33 yards per rush and 8.27 yards per pass. So I would, if I'm the Lions, I'm looking for as many ways as I can get both of those guys on the field at the same time. And then, then you sprinkle in some Hawkinson, some St. Brown, some Khalif Raymond. You kind of sprinkle these guys around. But, that's what I'm trying to do. However, they only average 18.2 points per game, which is worse than the New York Giants. And my question is, so you have these, we're talking about the offense there for the Lions. And if you're talking about the Rams defense, what do? Because this is not, Jared Goff is not, that's an offense that does not do explosives at all, especially through the air. The Rams defense, though, is built to contain explosive play. So they play way back, too high shell, right? Are they going to do that against the Lions that are going to be dinking and dunking and check down Charlie? I remember last year when the 49ers played the Rams and they talked to Fred Warner and I think Robert Saleh about it, and they said, we're going to crowd the middle of the field up against the line because Jared Goff, they're playing it horizontally because they know Goff isn't going vertical. And, that's the game plan. So do the Rams go with this bend, don't break, playing 8 yards off the line, when they know Jared Goff will take those 5-yard dinks and dunks all day? He'll do it. He doesn't care. The running backs, they'll take those 4, 5, 6, 7-yard chunks if they can get them. So I would think if I'm the Rams, I would mix it up a little bit. I'd play a little bit closer, and I would, if you take away the middle and the short range from Jared Goff, dare him to go over the top. I just, because he just can't do it. He can't do it. He doesn't want to do it, is what I'm trying to say. So the Rams have had a specific identity on defense, which does not. I think that actually plays into the hands of the Lions, but we'll see. We'll see if they just say, hey, we're doing it, or we're going to tweak a little bit, bring people in, play a little differently, a little tighter. We will see. Now, in terms of the Rams offense versus the Lions defense, the Lions defense, they also have a new defensive coordinator, Aaron Glenn, who came over with Dan Campbell from the Saints. He was the Saints' secondary coach for the last 5 seasons, and he's still trying to figure it out. And last week against the Bengals, you could tell he's still trying to figure it out. I mean, it depends if Jeffrey Okudah's in there. It's probably a different story. But, their best cornerback is Jerry Jacobs. He's playing well. He was all over the place that game. He tackles well. He was on Jamar Chase most of the time. But he really was, you could tell he stood out. Made some pass breakups, I think, even on T. Higgins. Tracy Walker, who he's playing very consistent. And he's actually right now kind of playing better than Oruwariye. I probably butchered that. Now, Oruwariye, I remember him from the draft a few years ago. I think he was out of Penn State. He has flashes, but he's just not playing consistently. So, that takes me to the fourth kind of cornerback guy that they have, which is Jalen Reeves-Maybin. Now, he got lit up against, was it Scott? I can't remember, of the Bengals last week. Just played him up at the line and just completely whiffed, and it wasn't even close. So there are matchups. If the Rams can match up, put a key player, maybe Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods against Reeves-Maybin, I think that's the weak link that the Rams will try to exploit. That's what the Bengals tried to do. The Bengals really schemed it up to get one-on-ones and to get in favorable matchups against Reeves-Maybin. So I think you look for the Rams to do that. But I don't think it really matters who is covering Cooper Kupp. And it's time for us to really look at Cooper Kupp as a legit number 1 wide receiver in football, one of the top 5 wide receivers in football. And in the last 35 years, only 2 players through the first 6 games had over 600 yards and 7 touchdowns, Cooper Kupp and Randy Moss. What he's doing this year is insane. It is conceivable that he'll have over 2,000 receiving yards. It is conceivable that he'll have close to 20 touchdowns. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, at some point in time, maybe it slows down. He has a couple bad weeks. But, I mean, Stafford has really unlocked something. We know he was Jared Goff's go-to guy, third down blanket. But with Stafford, it's just it's to the next level. And it's really cool. Like, he could go down, depending on how long this goes with Matthew Stafford, he'd go down as the best Rams wide receiver in franchise history if he kind of continues his pace. I mean, I don't think he'll, I doubt he'll every year have 2,000 yards or even 1,800 yards. But I mean, still, he's still a young guy, fairly young, and he has some prime years left in the tank. But it's exciting. Cooper Kupp is legit. He's not just kind of like this underrated guy who, maybe he's really good. Who knows? But I also think that this is going to be a sneaky good game for Van Jefferson. I think Van Jefferson, it's time for him to have another really breakout game. Maybe he scores a touchdown. Maybe he goes over a hundo. But Van is trending, and I think that Matthew Stafford's also going to go off. I think Matthew Stafford, he's going to have 300 plus with 3 TDs. But I'm going to be really interested to see with Matthew Stafford. Does he have the early game struggles? Some overthrows, just not being in sync at the beginning of the game? Is he going to have a lot of emotions running because he's playing Detroit? Or is it going to be a game where he's just locked in at the beginning and boom, 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 and he just racks it up and the game gets out of hand? Like that, to me, I'm really curious because that's kind of been the deal. The Rams are 5-1, and they haven't even played their best football. I mean, I guess you could say Tampa Bay, that game was their best football of the year, complete game. But I feel like they still haven't totally fully clicked. And I mean, this is a week to do it, right? A couple other things I want to touch on here is third down conversions. Now, in the first 4 games of the year, the Rams were converting 54% of their third downs. They were 25 of 46. Their last 2 games, they are 4 of 22, 18% conversion. So 54% on third downs in their first 4 games, 18% on third downs their last 2 games. So it's time to get that back into that 54% range. And like I said, this is the team to do it. I mean, I don't want to take the Lions too lightly because, when you're challenged. I mean, I thought the Giants, that's a thing before. I didn't make a video before the Giants game last week, but my one thing I was thinking about was, wow, Joe Judge and the defensive coordinator really called out their teams and the stars on defense to really step it up. And I thought they would come out and be, show some more fight. And they didn't. Or it was primarily because Daniel Jones turned the ball over. But, I thought they would put up more of a fight, and they just got blown out. So I don't think the Lions offense can really keep up with the Rams. I mean, the Rams are averaging, 29 points per game, right? So they're averaging 11 points more per game than the Lions. They're favored by 15.5 points. I mean, it's just every facet of the game or of the rosters, the Rams have the advantage. And I mean, the Rams offensive line has just been firing. They're one of the best offensive lines in football. Remember that concern coming into the season. We got to draft someone because our offensive line sucks or is, sketchy. Darrell Henderson, he got 21 carries last week. I want to say it's probably his career high. Will he, durability is a concern for him. Being on a pitch count is kind of something that we've talked about. Is he going to have 21 carries? Is Sony Michel going to be healthy enough to take a load off? I mean, I could see the Rams also rushing it 30 times if Sony Michel is healthy enough. So I think, what do you guys think? Plus or minus 21 carries for Hendo? I'm going to go minus if Michel is healthy. I think, in that 18 range. But we'll see. I mean, just getting a nice workload, staying healthy, coming out of this game without injuries is the key for me. How many? And then the other thing is the defensive line with Jared Goff being a statue back there and not being able to navigate pressure. So the Rams, according to Pro Football Focus, lead the NFL. They're tied for number 1 in pressures, defensive pressures. So Jared Goff is a statue back there, and we're going to be bringing the heat, so he's going to be getting the ball out quickly. So our linebackers and safeties have to play up. I mean, it's all connected, but I think this could be, watch out for Aaron Donald in the backfield. I mean, the Rams defense went up against Jared Goff in practice for how many years, right? So they know him. They know his tendencies. They know what he likes and what he doesn't like. And even though he might know stuff about the Rams defense, I think the Rams defense is more capable of imposing their will on Jared Goff than the other way around, especially considering the dearth of talent on the Lions. So, Obo, Terrell Lewis, AD, Leonard Floyd, it's gonna be brutal. I'm telling you, man. I mean, the Bengals beat the Lions 34-11. The Bengals defense is not the Rams defense. So, I mean, even the Bengals offense is not the Rams offense. So, I mean, every game is different. But I really feel like this can get ugly, and I feel bad. I don't want to see them get completely smoked and destroyed. But as a Rams fan, yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Dante Dion and Robert Rochelle will be interesting to see how they're playing out there. Will Jalen Ramsey guard Hawkinson? So, Dante Dion getting some time to shine, and Robert Rochelle. So these are great reps for these guys. And that's really what I like to see. I like to see these guys get reps. Terrell Burgess, maybe we'll see him in the game. So there's a lot to digest and absorb for this game. I'm really looking forward to it. And let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about Jared Goff and the Rams. Let me know what you think about Hendo, plus or minus, how many sacks Rams are going to have, what the final score is going to be. Do you think we'll cover the 15.5? And and I'm sure all of you would not change one thing about the Goff trade to the Lions for Matthew Stafford. So I'm going to wrap it up, taking up about 31 minutes of your time. I do appreciate everyone for staying. If you have, please subscribe. If you haven't, please subscribe. And as always, go Rams.